Hello everyone, it's Michael from 3D Print Everything, and today I wanted to talk about why the Kingroon KP3S is better than an Ender 3 Pro and an Ender 3 V2. So before we get into the Kingroon here, let's do a recap over these two printers, because if you're in the market for a printer, in my opinion, if you want to have a good time, that is the printer to buy. And let me just sum it up here in case you don't even want to watch the whole video. It's got better parts, it's more reliable, it's more stable, and it's cheaper. What are the downsides, you might ask? Well, that's a 180 millimeter bed, that's a 220 millimeter bed. That one goes 250 up. So you get a slightly bigger build platform out of those two printers than you will a Kingroon KP3S. That is one advantage that the Creality has. But everything else, in just about every way, I believe this is better. So, let me go over these real quick here. So, Ender 3 Pro. This guy's a little dirty, but it's because it's just dust. I think that's like light splash. Don't worry about that. It doesn't make a difference here. But one of the things I go on about, number one, is this wheel design. Now, one thing, I don't know if you can kind of catch it, but let me go light. See how my hand is kind of stopping there? There's a flat spot in these wheels, and flat spots are so common in these. You can get a flat spot going up, you get a flat spot going across, you get flat spots going here. It can just be from the printer sitting, because gravity, tension, everything, you're putting it on here, it's rubber. It'll create a flat spot. Just like if you leave a car sitting outside for 5 years in the same spot, you're going to get flat spots in your tires, you get flat spots in your wheels. Okay, and then you got to replace these wheels. Also, these wheels wear out. This is after like 3 prints. This is after maybe 20, 30 prints. This is after continuously running on this belt printer here. It's probably been running a solid week. So that's literally 1 week, and look at the wear on those. Now, what does that cause? What's the problem with that? Well, that's literally this wheel wearing away. So eventually, this starts to get loose, and you have to use your little wrench to tighten the nut down there in order to keep this solid. So if you're wanting a production machine and you want to farm, that's something you have to consider now, is how many of these wheels do you have to buy constantly? And when you're buying 10, 20 of these things, you have to check every single one of them, because you're going to have flat spots, you're going to create problems in prints if you're trying to create a high quality print. Now, what's some of the differences between the Ender 3 and the V2? Well, right here, they add that. That's the only difference. They add this so that you can kind of easily move it instead of just squeezing it in. Okay, nice. They put this cover around it just because it looks more slick. They take away the magnetic build plate for a glass build plate, which honestly, I'd rather have the magnetic myself. The glass won't break as often if you dig the nozzle into it, and that's probably why they went with it, is because all the new people, when you set up one of these, if you get your leveling wrong on the very first print, that nozzle can dig into this, and before you know how to turn this thing off quickly, you can ruin one of these beds, and that's quite easy to do. And even though the Kingroons come like that, come with the same type of material, magnetic build plate, I believe from the factory they have a solution for it, or at least thought of something, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. But yeah, so that's one of them. And then what else on here? Okay, so even though it's a dual gantry drive, it is not a dual Z. So this side has a little bit of play. Now you can get these tight, but you're always going to have a little bit of sag on the right side. Not a big deal if you're printing small parts. You know, you can definitely tune for it, but it's not ideal in my opinion to not have a dual Z if you're going to go ahead and have a dual gantry setup like that. The other thing being our screens here. So our screens, this is not even a color screen. This is a color screen. Let's turn this on just so you can see it, because it does, the color actually looks nice. There we go. So, Creality, and I'll give it to Creality, this is a bigger color screen than what the Ender comes with. So you've got a nice touchscreen here, and you've got several features. We can see, go in here, temperature, motion, configurations. Not too bad on what they come with here, but yeah, it's not a touchscreen. You can't use that. So for $220 and $260, that's what I sell these for. That's the market retail for them. Sometimes they'll go on sale, 20 bucks, 40 bucks off from that. But no more, period. Literally, you're not going to get that under 180, and you're not going to get one of these under 220 generally, unless it's just some type of fire sale. But anyways, you know, for the upgrades, not too bad. But if you want linear rails, if you want a direct drive, you know, you're probably looking at $60 to $150 to upgrade this, to have that. If you're going to add a dual Z setup to it, you know, that's going to cost, you know, probably that and more. But yeah, that's these two printers. That's the Ender V2 and the Ender 3 Pro. So let's check out the Kingroon and why I think it's better. And one thing, I don't even have one of these original ones. Okay, so I want to point out differences between these two. So these are the same printer, but as you notice, the hot ends are different. Now, the only thing I have changed on this one is this, is I changed to a bigger fan up front here, and to a fan that kind of, the little cooling bit comes around to both sides. So I 3D print that and install some new fans. But this is otherwise the stock motor that came with it and the stock drive system. This one, brand new shipment that I just got, comes with a Titan clone setup. So this is just like an E3D Titan, which I love those extruders. It is a great solid extruder. They put a nice bigger heatsink on it, nicer wires actually. Give it a bigger cooling fan than the one it came with, and change up the cooling fan on it too, and it now has a baby pancake motor. And let's see, does this one, okay, so look at the back of this one here, right? Look at the back of this one. So it's kind of hard to see from here, but they actually add this bit right here. This is now an added stabilization, not only just having the two bolts that come up from the bottom, but now this going to there. So this adds a bit more stabilization, which helps with some of the Z-banding that some of the people were having on some of the earlier models. So if you're having some Z-banding issues, just grab a new one, really. This is a great solid setup. I also noticed a difference in the linear rail that they're using. This one now is marked where these older ones weren't, and they honestly look a bit cleaner, if even more precise. Maybe not, but they look like a different quality linear rail. So I think they've changed their supplier there too. Now these also, they're upgraded with these spring steel sheets. Those are brand new. This is exactly the way it comes with this magnetic build plate here. And now what I was talking about with what they did to make their Z better is your Z switch is right here, and it's adjustable. You can just screw it in, but they manually set it high so that when you level this, because this is going to be recommended as you do your point leveling, so it'll go to each point. Sorry, I think there's some wind here. I hope you don't hear it. It's every single time they set that point leveling, they set that one really, really high. So that every time you have to adjust this, you've got to bring that nozzle closer and closer to it. Every time you get a brand new one, you've got to adjust it down. So it never starts too low. With these Enders and everything else like that, they always try to leave them at a point to where when you set it up, it's a dead money type of thing. They generally don't have this adjusted right, and that's where that first print can really mess you up. Where on this one, the instructions are clear on how to point level it, and you get a much better, reliable starting experience when you're printing with it. Now, what else? So obviously the Titan extruder. This is a direct drive Titan extruder. When we're talking, you know, nuts to nuts, this is one of the reasons why it is much better. What's another thing? Obviously, the easily adjustable Z screw here. So I can just do this, and that changes my base level. Okay, so that wire right there just did that, and I pressed like 3 buttons with my hand at the same time. So we're gonna, there we go, tell that one to point level now. Yeah, so don't just take your hand and mash it down on the screen. Funny things will happen. This one I have a camera set up to. It's connected to Octopi, so I have a 6-bank up there, so each one of these printers has an Octopi set up on it. But look, see, I screwed that one down and we're still quite a bit off. So and you'll see it's just not possible to move the bed up. You have to do that screw down. So that's one thing that makes it better. The extruder, that's 2. We've already said that. The part cooling fan, this is actually a bigger, better part cooling fan. If we're gonna go, you know, parts to parts, you know, you're gonna get more airflow from that fan right there. The linear rails, they're always gonna be nice and sturdy. Now look at that right here. Okay, see, when I yank that, there's a little bit of play. Look, see this wheel down here? If you can feel a wheel like this, you need to adjust it. So look, that's what we do. Take one of these. These are brand new out of the box right here. I literally just assembled it, and when I saw these upgrades, that's why I was like, hey, I've got to do a video on this. This thing is just so much better now with this new upgrade. And I've done some videos on this other one here. Look. Yeah, sturdy as can be. So that's, you know, you can tighten down all the wheels to an overdue point, but you'll never be able to get out. You'll never be able to get out some of that. I mean, it's on both. I mean, I can adjust this, but this is just going to keep happening with an Ender. You're not going to have that with this one. Part of the reason why is because the build plate's smaller. It's a 180. You really don't need much. And honestly speaking, I print about 80% of my projects on these guys. A lot. What else? The color touchscreen. So this, without glare, has a really nice touchscreen. You got all your home features, you got preheat features, you got your move, you got leveling, you got settings, open, fan, motor off, language, continue, printing. You just go to the file. There's no file found. So it's a really nice, intuitive setup. I love the screen. Super solid. And what else? The power supply, I believe, is bigger. So in my opinion, this is an overkill power supply. You don't really need this much for this small of a guy, but you got it. So great. You know, this one, I'll give it to it. It's integrated. I do like that. That one's integrated there. That's probably a win on them. They integrate it. That's nice. Let me give you a sneak peek. The KP5, which is an upgraded version of this one, they integrate it too. So they do deal with that. Nice. But what I wanted to bring up with this one is this is a printer that since I've been buying it, which has been for I think a year and a half now, I've seen at least 5 changes. They've changed this extruder design I think twice. They changed this design twice. They've changed this one twice right here. And what else? The extruder. So they now recently changed the extruder, the linear rails. So I really like all the changes they've constantly made when I see people coming into the room. That's why I'm slightly distracted on my cadence there. But yeah, these are the reasons why I like it. Now let's get to the big one right here. How much does this cost? If this is better than the Kingroon, or if the Kingroon is better than an Ender at $220 and an Ender at $260, that means this printer must be $300-400. I mean, look at it. It might as well be a Prusa Mini in my opinion. But no, this printer right here you can buy for $180 in the box new. Pay for shipping, we'll ship it to you. Certain places you might even be able to get it cheaper than that. On sale, it'll be a little bit cheaper than that. But really guys, where are you going to find a printer with linear rails, direct drive, color touchscreen under $200? I'm telling you, If you find it, comment and tag me. I'll buy it. I'll test it out. I'll make a video about it. I'll compare it to this one. But in my opinion, I haven't found anything else that's better than this. And I haven't seen a company upgrade their printers continuously, making it better, listening to the community, and everything else like that than these guys. Now, these build platforms, not to fool you, are actually larger than its build plate. So these are, because I couldn't find a 180 build plate, these are 200s. So these are 20 millimeters bigger, so about 10 millimeters around than what its actually sized is. This is its actual size. So let me know. I mean, look at that. It's a man hand size. It's a good size printer. It really is. This is what I recommend for everybody's first printer. If you're not needing a huge printer, and even if you are, I recommend one of these. If you need a big printer, buy one of these on the side. If you're willing to spend $500 plus on a printer, spend $200 and get the small one too. Why? Because you're always going to have stuff that fits on this. You always will. And when that big printer's going on a 20-hour, 30-hour, 3-day print, because you need to print a massive, thing on this thing, or you're going to tie it up for a week straight printing something, and you just wish, you could print a little shelf or a little this or that, you're going to want one of these. I'm telling you, it's the way to go. So many people love these. I've sold at least 50 now in the older configuration, and people love them. I literally, only one person has even called me for support on it, and it was a school, not even an individual. Any individual that's put, any effort into this guy has had a great time with it, and I know you will too. But I can't tell you, just last year alone, I probably serviced at least as many as I sold Kingroons. I serviced these two, where people bring one in, and I tell you what it is. This is sloppy because they don't know how to tighten it. The bed is sloppy because they don't know how to tighten it. They don't know how to level it. They might run wood through the 0.4 nozzle and clog it. And they're like, okay, fine, come teach me how to use it, teach me how to put it together. And I do provide that as a class for people. So if you come meet me in person, I'll actually teach you about the printer. I'll teach you, some of the stuff I provided here is in that, just on why it's better. It's literal just information, specs essentially driven across. But I go over on top of that all of the slicer information, how to maintenance it, where to put the oil and how to oil it, how often, stuff like that, the basic stuff. But for newbies, it's what they need to hear. So yeah, I mean, $20 to $60, no, $40 to $80 less than that, in my opinion. This is a better printer. If it's your first printer, you need to buy one. If it's, if you need 10 of them, 10 printers, you need to get these. Now just for the future, I'll hint it. These guys are the KP5. They are the upgraded version of the KP3. They have a bigger 250 millimeter bed and a even bigger 300 millimeter bed. And all of these printers will be under $300, under $250. Actually, these guys will. And they have a little small version. The biggest changes they have made with the KP5 is they have a nice new rail system. So it's no longer a linear rail, but it's quite interesting with the system they've gone up, and I'm looking forward to the upgrades. These were their alpha set, so I won't go into detail here. I went into detail in some of my other videos, but they are upgrading these even further, and when they get back with me on the upgrades, I'll buy a new set of them, re-review those, and those will be my main go-to printer. I will end up replacing all of this, probably add another row, and it'll just be like 20 or 30 of these guys. That's how much I believe in them. I'm not a nut for them. I'm not somebody that just fanboys out for things. I just like good spec'd out stuff. I like stuff that's reliable, and without having to do a ton of mods, ton of changes, without having to explain a ton of stuff, this is what you're gonna have a good time with. So thanks for listening. Sorry this is a long-winded video, but that's my opinion on why the KP3S is better than the Ender 3 Pro and V2. Okay, so this video has to continue. I thought I would have been done at that last cut there, But after thinking about it, it's like, you know, it's truly not fair to just talk crap about one printer and not let its print quality be the real talker. So what we're going to do here is we're going to print the same exact print at the same exact settings off of a Kingroon KP3S and an Ender 3 Pro and V2. So we're going to have 3 prints, the same exact thing, same exact filament. But I noticed something while slicing this up and getting it ready, and I want to show you this. So just to prove that I'm not doing any type of ringer otherwise, here is the KP3S build plate settings. 180 heated bed, extruder 0.4 175. Here's the V2 220 220 250. Okay, and this is actually an identical profile for the V2 and the Ender 3. There is nothing different between the V2 and the V3. So we have the same exact part here. Now we'll start at the top. So here's 0.25 layer height, wall thickness 2 right there. Okay, look at this. 0.25 layer height, wall thickness 2, the same check boxes. We'll go down to top bottom layer is 1, infill of 35. Okay, top bottom layer is 1, infill of 35. Down here, material 200. I mean, none of this will matter, that's just heat. This is speed right here. This is generally the big setting right here, speed. You got the same exact speed settings. Travel. Here's one of the biggest differences. Kingroon KP3S with a direct drive, you have a much shorter retraction difference. Much shorter. This is factory. Okay, let's keep going though. Cooling supports. Literally the exact same. Oh, actually, this is let's do overhang of 50 there. Okay, that was slightly different. I caught that, but otherwise, I mean, the little distance there. Yeah, the numbers there all the same. So raft. I'm gonna do raft, and that's the very end of it. Infill trap optimization. Oh, let's turn that one on. Okay, so I've shown you these should be identical profiles. The difference being this is a 3.2, and when we slice it, it comes out to 11 hours 20 minutes. You know, I don't know what else to do to make this profile faster, but this profile right here, it's slicing it in literally 45% of the time. I mean, 50% of the time. This is 48.9. Like, this is a faster printer. Now let's just play with this. Let's maybe I'm curious. If we just change that to the same exact setting there. That's something I haven't even done yet. Let's see. 6 hours 30 minutes. Where's the time coming from? I don't understand exactly. So it's not like the retraction was where it doubles in time. I'm not sure. Maybe there's some jerk settings in the base state here, but this one's 12 hours to print it. This one's 6 hours, supposedly printing at the same speed, same infill density, same layer height, same nozzle. I mean, I don't know. If you want a faster printer, bam. I charge by the hour. Okay, so if I'm going to charge by the hour, which print do you want to buy? Do you want to buy the print off the Creality? It's twice as expensive. Or do you want to buy the print off the Kingroon? Half as expensive. I mean, if that's $40 and this is $80, which print do you want? Hands down, people are going to tell me they want the Kingroon print. You know, could you imagine if this was if this was a 30-40 hour print, how much longer that would be? I don't know. We'll see how the prints turn out. Okay, just a quick check-in to see how the printers are doing. V2's looking okay, looking nice. Ender 3 Pro is bucking, so we have some type of nozzle jam, so I gotta figure that out. And yeah, there's the Kingroon file. Nice. Even looking like we could probably turn the heat down. Oh yeah, the heat's way too high. Let's turn that. We'll turn the heat down. Wasn't way too high, but we turned it down 15 degrees. So, and that's from seeing indications like this, a little bit of stringiness there at the end. But yeah, we gotta figure out what's the deal with this. Did it? Trying to just shove it in there. No, it's not taking it. We're gonna have to change the nozzle and restart it. Alright, so it's the following day, and we're gonna check out our prints here. So this is the Kingroon KP3S latest firmware update. You can see we got a little bit of banding there, but it looks like what was it? Some of that's from its retraction areas. So like where it retracts right there. So the retraction on my profile could be tuned, you know, up or down just a little bit to start getting rid of that seam. But otherwise, I mean, we can see, you know, it looks like a really good print. Yeah, you know, I like that. That's pretty acceptable. And again, that was run on 60, and it went twice as fast as the Ender here. So the Ender V2 looks like I had the temperature up a little too high. That's why it was stringy. So next time I could turn the temp down. But the print quality here, I would say, is as good, if not better. The you know, maybe your final finish looks a little bit better here in certain areas. Obviously the stringiness isn't ideal, but you know, the outer finish, if we, let's just set them next to each other, you know, capture that light. I mean, it's quite comparable. You know, you just get a little bit of different banding there, but that's partially just because of the speed, you know. And now the one advantage to having those rubber wheels is it's going to take in some of this dampening. So some of this right here from the speed and everything is going to be, one, because of the rubber wheels, and two, because of how slow it was running. So it's got a really slow jerk and acceleration. But one thing you do notice is it's got quite a bit of Z banding there. So, you know, you can see right here that those lines aren't super straight. You know, they could be a lot straighter. You can definitely see it there. You can see that the Kingroon has a straighter Z banding, and it looks cleaner right there. But on the outer surface, we had just a little bit there of I'm not sure what exactly you call that, but yeah. So this is that Z moving around just a little bit, and that's because this thing from the factory, you know, there's no stabilization up here, and you know, where this is as tight as I can get it, it just moves around just a little bit. Now this guy, it did not finish, and I see why now. The part cooling fan has failed. So I just restarted it just to see what was up, but it's not getting the part cooling fan there. So I'll have to take this one apart, redo the part cooling fan, and start it up. But I would expect that we'd see some very similar results to this one. So I might do it again and get the Ender going, and I think we're going to test that one too. I had somebody drop it off, so stay tuned. If you're at the end of this video, thanks for watching it. Check out the next video to see what this is and why it's called the V2 Killer, which is the Ender 3 V2. So yeah, we'll go over all that in the next video. Thanks for checking this out. I'm gonna still stand by my Kingroon in that this looks like a better print, upgrade for upgrade. I think you're gonna get more out of this, and you know, I mean, the time alone, I want faster prints, you know, and if that's, you know, if all the upgrades upgrade this thing and make it where it prints super clean, let's say, you know, minus all that and you get the Z-banding fixed up, if it still prints twice as slow, that sucks, in my opinion. You know, because I need something that's going to print quickly. But, alright guys, have a good afternoon. I'm going to stop this video for now, splice it all together, upload it to YouTube. So, thank you for being here and checking this out. Give you a little sneak peek video of the sneak peek. This has been another video, but another look at that belt printer. It's just so cool. But later guys.